What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, Reckless Rexx Ruger. Watching my back, as always, is the Freddie Mercury puppet. As I do every episode, I will address the elephant in the room. You're looking at the smoldering good looks, those luscious blonde locks. And now that I mention it, I'm going to take a look as well because I enjoy the view. I will confirm what we already know, that you are looking at the one and only love child of one Diamond David Lee Roth. There you have it, folks. I've shared with you full disclosure, and now we can get down to the brass tacks. I always like to put that out there. It's not easy. You're looking at these rock star good looks. You want answers, so I gave them to you. My guest is here, so we're going to get down to it and chop it up. I'm not going to go into my promotional spiel. I'll do that at the end because I got a prompt guest, and I'm not going to leave him waiting. That's just uncouth in the podcast world, so we are going to get down to it. I'm excited about this one. Looking forward to it. So here we go with another banger of an episode. Tommy!
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's it going, man? Appreciate you doing this. Oh, man, am I jealous. I have the same fucking hat.
Yeah, right.
I should have wore it, man, but I usually reserve it for the boxing podcast. But I kind of knew when you said that you were in the boxing and that this might turn into, and I haven't had many of them, kind of a hybrid episode that I thought I ought to break out the Hagler war hat.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, I grabbed it a minute ago off of Etsy. I know it's not even like the same type of build, but, you know, it's something close.
No, mine's pretty much the same. Mine's pretty much the same. Hey, listen, if you're wearing a red hat with the word war on it, man, you pretty much are keeping with the spirit, I think, of what Marvelous Marvin Hagler was doing back in the 80s, you know?
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm trying to. I mean, you can only hope to be half as much as everything he did, man.
That guy was an animal, man. I mean, just running through the street at 2 a.m, jogging and screaming war.
Oh, yeah. With all the, like, wearing the military boots, doing the Rob Marciano thing.
Different kind of animal, man. Boxers, and don't get me wrong, it's my passion. It's my sport. I do a whole podcast dedicated to it where I talk to fighters. I love it. But I will say, and I almost don't want to say this because I have a lot of great young champions on. I love having the OGs of the sport on, but I've been having lately I've been having an influx of great young fighters. And it's great to see where the sport is headed because there are a lot of great young, not even just great athletes, but really guys that have it up here. You know what I mean? So the sport's going to be in good hands, man, you know, when our current legends start to retire. But they were made a little different back in the 70s and the 80s, though, and even the 90s.
For sure. I mean, that's the thing. Like these days, I'd love to hear about the new champions too, because basically when I started getting full into music as much as I did, I kind of fell off a little bit on keeping track of what was current. I remember when Canelo started fighting, and then after that, I was just like, all right, I just got to do music the full time. So that's 100% my focus. Yeah. So I know some names peer through, obviously, you know, Tank and and I'm blanking on the names. I know what they look like, but so it's like there's some champions that are out there nowadays that I love to watch. But I'm like I feel bad because I lost track of the sport in the way that I used to. Like I was like a student of the game from basically 10 until 22-ish. Like those 12 years, I was following it pretty religiously. But then it kind of just like disappeared when I was like, all right, I got to give it a real go at being as good as I can in every aspect of music. So
yeah. But after we get off here, I'll be glad to help you play catch up. I'll send you the playlist of all the past Off the Couch boxing episodes. And as I said, for every episode that I do with one of the OGs of the sport, the legends, and I have had my fair share of them on, it's just much easier to get the younger guys on because they are in promotional mode. They're trying to get their careers jump started. They're happy to have a platform. They're happy, if their record is 8-0. 10-0, 15-0, and they're just starting out. They're happy to come on and because that is a big part of the boxing game too. You know what I mean? Your marketability, obviously your interview skills, how you deal with media.
I'd imagine it's not dissimilar to music, although there's no like direct antagonism towards us, like as a musician.
Right.
Whereas boxing, there's like, the ulterior motive, like you want someone to, show that they won't put up with it, or like what kind of under pressure, what kind of person they are too. Because you might want the heel, you might want like the silent guardian, like the silent warrior, all that.
Right.
Like, you have these different personalities, and you need them all. They're all pretty crucial.
Yeah,
everyone loves a villain. Everyone loves like a hero. Everyone has their own personal set of values they want to put onto this amazing warrior.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing how they react and all that.
See, full disclosure for me, man, when I grew up, man, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I watched a lot of wrestling growing up. You know what I mean? And I always liked the bad guys more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
I'm a heel guy.
like the one that, I was like, I didn't grow up. My cousin was super into. He was into like all the combat sports, but he put me on the wrestling early. I loved Mankind, but other than that, like it didn't really stick to me that much. Then when I got into boxing, around the same time he did too, we were just like me, him, and my brother were just watching like everything we could. It was HBO era, like I think right before De La Hoya retired. And then when he came back, it was a big thing for us, the Klitschko era, that whole stuff.
Yeah.
That's when we were paying attention the most.
There is nothing better than the HBO era. I'm 52 years old, man, so that era means a lot to me, and I've gotten the chance to express that a couple times because I live in upstate New York. So the International Boxing Hall of Fame is probably like 20 minutes away from me. So obviously, Hall of Fame weekend is a big deal. Lots of legends and luminaries all descend on Canastota, New York. It's a big weekend. Everybody comes into town on Thursday. Friday night, they always have boxing up at the local casino. Saturday night, they got their banquet. Sunday night, they got their induction. But on the grounds itself, though, there's always lots of boxers mingling, walking around. You can really get access to them or whatever. And I've gotten the chance to tell the voice himself, Jim Lampley, several times, man, just how much his voice to me, if I think boxing, and I think of great calls, or I just think of who's the voice that resonates with me the most in terms of the amount of fights that I've heard and somebody calling those fights, it's Lampley.
Oh yeah, Jim Lampley. I just have distinct memories of him and Emmanuel Stewart commentating on stuff, and just like that entire it kind of brings you to tears every time. Like when you think about it from time to time, it's just like there's some beautiful moments out there.
Yeah, I was literally standing in line, or standing not really in line, but I was waiting this past Hall of Fame weekend. I get a picture with him, and I try to exchange a few words with him every year. And then somebody this year had the best idea, and I'm totally going to do that with this microphone right here. Someone brought their microphone in a silver Sharpie and had them autograph their microphone. That's the idea. That's the idea. And then I will retire this microphone right here, man. But having a Jim Lampley signature on it.
Oh yeah.
The best.
You build a case, you build a frame for that whole thing.
No doubt.
That's going to be, that's lifelong. That's incredible.
So usually when I get musicians on here, I kind of like to backtrack a little bit because a lot of their stories are very similar in the fact that they, not all of them, but 99.9% of them grow up in musical households where their families are either musicians or there's lots of records on playing. Was that the case for you?
Not really. Not to say my parents are great. I love them. They were very supportive from me from the beginning. My dad loves music. My mom loved music too, but it's not like it was on all the time. They were both working.
Yeah.
So they're like when they're around, we'd listen to it in the car. That's mainly most of my musical experiences are like traveling.
Yeah.
We would drive a lot because my dad's from Long Island, so we would actually go up and down to New York a bunch. And in the car we'd listen to the radio. And then when I was old enough to get a Walkman, me and my brother would like split it and we'd like listen to CDs. And that cousin I was mentioning that got me into combat sports is actually the guy that got me into metal. So really, it's actually cousins on both sides of my family that were musical. So my mom's Peruvian.
Okay.
So she's from Lima, and we would go to Lima every now and then to visit. And her youngest brother, my uncle, passed away more than a decade ago, but he was a drummer, and he loved like Yes and Rush and Genesis. He was a big prog guy. And he had a bass as well. So my brother played drums. And he would my uncle just showed him how to do it. And then he gave me the bass and here's what you do. So I just started playing. We played into like Audio Slave and Rage Against the Machine and like System of a Down and stuff. That was like 2001-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we started. But that was, it only really happened in Lima because no one on my dad's side is like musical pretty much at all. I mean, I love them, but so the only direct musical influence I had in person was my uncle in Peru once a year, maybe.
But you are credited online with some of your projects as a guitarist and a bassist, though. I mean, is there one that you identify with more, like that you feel like is your instrument?
Yes, I'm a bassist. So I one band in there. The one that I met the Undeath guys through was this grindcore band called WARDEN. That's what I tell people I kind of made my bones, like at least on the East Coast scene. And I tell everyone I was the worst guitarist in that band, and it was me on guitar, the drummer, and a singer. And our singer, his name's John. He was in this thrash band I was in before that. We called it rhythm guitar, but he could shred as good as our lead guitarist, and he's awesome, amazing musician. And Paul, the drummer, even better musician because he could do all of it. He could do vocals, he could do bass, he was like a shredder on guitar too. He was in a tech death band before he joined
Yeah.
He went to Richmond and then he came back up to DC. That's where I started the band. And he just hopped on drums and started blasting. I was like, all right, so let's do it.
And so when you're a bass player, and I've had many of them on, I'm well north of 300 episodes, had plenty of bass players on, I realized, not being a musician myself, but I realized, man, that and I've gained a greater appreciation, you know what I mean, like for their role in the band, holding down the low end, you know what I mean, helping drive the rhythm section. But when you're a kid, oftentimes people want to be the front man or they want to shred. Did you choose the bass? The bass kind of choose you? I mean, I've heard both stories kind of, because it isn't always deemed the most glamorous of instruments, maybe not alluring to a youngster.
And honestly, I'm thinking about like the times that no one's ever told me to stop, but I've definitely had times where like my roommate, who I think might even be in the house down the hall, would tell me like, that's not what the bassist does in this thing. But like I had the fortune/misfortune of falling in love, like my loves of bass early on were the flashiest guys.
You're right.
Or at least they stood out, I should say, because the first bassist I ever wanted to emulate was actually Fieldy from Korn. Keep in mind, I was like 9 or 10.
Oh, sure.
But, like, that's the style that you're playing. Like you see him, you hear him. He's
right.
I will acknowledge he is not a very good bassist, but you can hear him and you definitely see how he's playing.
Yeah.
So I saw that. That's how I thought bassists were for forever. And then because I didn't really know what to listen for.
I imagine he probably wouldn't be too enamored with the fact of you saying, "Hey, Fieldy, I appreciate your work. I will definitely say that you can hear you."
That's, to me, that's actually pretty important these days. Actually, I thought about like
it is.
There are guys who like, that what they play is whatever, but they sound incredible.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. And like there's guys, I'm not gonna say they don't play impressive stuff, but like Danny Loker from like Nuclear Assault, he never stood out for what he's playing, but his tone is incredible. Like that's it beats the shit out of most like shredders. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean that kind of stuff to me is as important. Like two towers of like what's important as a player, and I try and draw from both. And Fieldy is definitely in the sounds great department.
Yeah.
And the other guy, the next guy I remember falling in love with in terms of playing was Steve DiGiorgio.
Oh yeah.
Because like, and between Korn and like when that was like 9, and when I turned like 11, found Slayer, and then from Slayer it was just like steady decline into thrash and death metal.
Yeah,
I heard Sadist before I heard Death, so when I started getting into both of them at the same time, it was like, and I saw a picture of him on that the Testament album, The Gathering. He's holding a fretless bass, so I'm like, what the hell's that? Like, there's no frets. Like, what's wrong with his bass? And then I looked it up. I saw pictures of him. He had this like green ESP custom deal with 5 strings, no frets, and I was like, that's cool as fuck. What's going on there?
Yeah.
I listened to it, like, this guy's incredible. And then I found out later he's like playing as fast as the guitars, but with his fingers.
Shout out Steve DiGiorgio, still killing it with Testament too, who are about to drop a new album. Someone made the point to me a couple weeks ago, man, that metal, in a lot of respects, especially thrash metal, really is still an old man's game. Those elder statesmen of the thrash scene are still fucking killing it, man. Those bands. Yeah. I mean, your Death Angels, your Overkills, your Exoduses, your Testaments. I mean, there's no way in hell those bands any of them are close to having to hang it up.
We did a whole run with Exodus, and I can tell you those guys still. I mean, they may not party as hard, but they hang as hard as we did. They're right next to it. Like, they're in the front line. Like, Zetro hung out in our green room a couple times, and it's like, dude, this is surreal. It's an honor because Exodus is incredible. We love that band. We love the people in it, and just being able to like share the stage with those guys for like 35 days or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it's surreal. But yeah, you're right. Like the thrash game, I don't know if they can be like, to say they're going to be replaced, not replaced, but if they ever hang it up, and honestly, that the only way they're going to do that when they start passing, unfortunately,
right?
Because they're not going to quit. That's
no,
sure. So like look at Slayer. They just played more shows after they retired.
Right. Yeah. I think they're going to dupe us with the retirement too, right? But at least they didn't do the Kiss thing, man. At least they didn't do the Kiss thing when they tell us they're going to retire, and then the tour ends up being like, 8 years. At least they actually stepped off for a minute.
Well, they're gonna. I mean, shit. They could do Slayer could do the Menudo thing like Kiss did, where they
could.
They will continue as no Tom, no Carrie.
Yeah,
no Gary. It's just going to be random people. And I'll complain until you see me replacing Tom on bass or something. Then I'll be like, no, it's fine. Don't worry.
And so what was your foray into extreme metal, man? Like, were you all in with extreme metal early on, or was it kind of like what a lot of people is, where it's like, you're gradually starting to discover heavier shit, and there's kind of like an ascension there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like that. I guess it depends how early is early on, because I was pretty deep into, like, not deep. I loved death metal, certain kinds of death metal when I was like 13 or 14. So it's earlier than some people, I guess. But like, I never really had that around. Let's put it this way: around the same time that like my entry level stuff would have been like Killswitch Engaged and like
Yeah.
Shadows Fall. That's when I should have been listening to that, and I didn't not like it. Like I listened to it a couple times, but it definitely had its own like time and place. But at the same time, I was listening to Slayer, Sadist, Death, Bolt Thrower, Possessed. Like a lot of these bands, they happen at the same time for my discovery.
Yeah.
But like Steve DiGiorgio, honestly, put me into down like the rabbit hole pretty fast, because Sadist isn't the easiest listen when you're coming from Metallica.
You're right.
Because I kind of was at the time. Like I had heard Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth. I hadn't gone into Anthrax yet, but I love Anthrax. And then from there, like Sadist and Anthrax kind of came at the same time. And if Anthrax is like your very fun, you can go off into doing any other style of music.
Oh yeah,
listening wise.
Yeah,
Sadist is very much driving you down into like death metal from there.
Yeah. And so where was your jumping off point though, man? Like were you were you locked into heavy, or were there wimpier bands that kind of came before that? And by wimpy, I don't even know what the fuck I mean by wimpy, but like
no, well, I mean I
go ahead, man. Go ahead. Because it sounds like it sounds like you may have dealt. And I mean, full disclosure, I'm 52 years old, so I started out with hair metal. I'm not gonna lie and act like I wasn't growing up in the 80s and didn't fuck with some hair metal, man. And then then you gradually start to say, what's out there that's heavier? What's out there that's faster? And you and your friends are trying to blow each other away. This is evil. Oh, wait till you fucking hear this. You know what I mean? So there's certainly like a trajectory that we were on, but we didn't just like that wasn't our jumping off point though.
Right. Well, the first thing, like I said, talking about Korn, that was like, so there's a pretty hard cut between nu metal and thrash to me.
Yeah.
And there's a direct line too. I was actually just telling the story earlier.
Yeah.
MTV.com is kind of what ruined my life, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Because I was like listening to, Korn and Limp Bizkit and like Linkin Park, all that shit that was on, like MTV was still somewhat relevant. So there was like still videos coming out and you would see all this stuff. And then my cousin was showing me these things too. So I went down that rabbit hole. I went pretty, like, in terms of music, I just go down all these rabbit holes I can. Like, if I find a band I like, I'm going to like, what are more like these? I found some fucking bad nu metal bands just like digging that hole as deep as I can, man. It's rough. But by the time I hit like 12, I went on MTV.com. What I would do is I would look at like related artists to whoever I was looking for. That's how I found all these bands.
Right.
Machine Head only had one. And Machine Head, this is like their nu metal period with like spiky hair and all.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They had one related artist and it was Slayer. So I found Slayer and then I listened to God Hates Us All and Raining Blood like the same day. I'm just like, okay, let's see where this goes. And then, and then it was over at that point.
So it's almost like you're following what MTV.com would be kind of comparable to today, to like following like an algorithm almost.
Yeah, because I mean, like Spotify used to have a good one where it would put up related artists, and their algorithm was interesting in that it was like it knew who was listening to what, like what the audience was listening to.
Right.
So when you're a smaller band, like most of my other local ones in the area, when you have like 100 monthly listeners, you can see, like who your fans are almost like personally.
Right.
And you can see what they're listening to. So you'll see like, oh, right, so like I remember Phobophilic was one that was related to my grind band Two Morning. We don't sound anything alike. I love those guys.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's who they're listening to. Like they just like, so, something similar to that was MTV telling you like Korn, you should like Coal Chamber. And
right.
Being 9 or 10, you're like, I should like Coal Chamber.
Yeah, I will assimilate.
Like, yeah, like I guess I like Coal Chamber, even though this is pretty goofy.
Yeah. So I've got in front of me, a list of projects, that you've been involved in. And maybe you can just kind of tell me, man, like where each one of those projects currently is, like whether they're defunct, whether you're still involved in them or whatever, man. Because I don't just want to go by what the internet says, because obviously we know the internet can be wrong, kids. So obviously Undeath still very much going,
Yeah.
and fucking really kicking ass. And now you've been in that band for how long?
Since 2020 is when I joined. I think it was April of 2020, and they were around late 2018, and then 2019 is when they kind of hit it big.
Yeah.
And I actually, that's where I met my other band I've mentioned before, TOMMY, the grindcore band. I met them on tour. They opened for TOMMY in 2018, I think.
Okay.
And then from there, they played DC, and I helped book the show. And then I played that show also. I closed the show on that one.
Okay.
And that's how I met them and got to talking. And then, so Undeath still pretty good. I joined 2020, and then I thought it would be like, we'll tour 2 to 4 weeks a year. And then like probably 3 months after I joined, they're like, all right, we're gonna tour with Black Dahlia Murder.
Yeah.
I was like, and it's gonna be like a 40 day tour. I'm like,
oh shit, this is getting real. Yeah.
And at the times there was plans for me to I was thinking about moving upstate anyway, so I was like, it'll work out. And then upstate, and then we didn't move, so now I'm just 6 hours away from them at all times.
Okay, so they're still in upstate New York then, right?
Yeah, they've moved. Not necessarily, like 2 of them are in Rochester still, but like Alex has moved out closer to Ithaca and Syracuse, I think, somewhere between there.
Yeah, because I'm pretty close. Yeah, because I'm pretty close to, like, when people ask me where in upstate New York I am, that's the closest big city to me would be Syracuse.
Yeah, and a lot of things around there. Rochester is somewhat in the middle of nowhere.
It is.
I think it's
yeah, it is.
And then you have Buffalo out there too.
Well, because people can't fathom when I tell them that I'm from New York, and I've had plenty of people ask. They instantly want to know like what borough, and I have to explain to them that there's a whole nother part of New York that isn't the fucking city. You know what I mean? I'm 4 hours from what people deem as the exciting part of New York. I'm central New York. I'm smack dab in the middle. 4 hours away from the Brooklyns and the Bronxes and the fucking Manhattans, and that whole hub of what people deem the exciting version of New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's a beautiful sight on its own, but I was just up there for Alex's wedding, and just like the sights you see when you're driving through that part. Of the country, it's just like, oh, this is one of the most beautiful states in the entire country, and I've seen most of them.
And pretty soon it will be blanketed in snow. It's coming.
Yes, it will.
It's be a little harsh up here. All right, so Undeath still very much going, still very much hitting on all cylinders. Just dropped More Insane last year, man. You know what I mean? So you guys got a relatively new album out. So where are you with Tomb Warden?
Tomb Warden is kind of in flux. Our drummer moved out. Like, Paul is one of my oldest musical collaborators at this point, the drummer. And John also, actually, I mean, we had that thrash band, Narrow Grave, that I don't know if it's in your thing or not, but that's done. But John was the guitarist for that, and I was going to have him do bass in Tomb Warden, and he broke his wrist, and then came in and just did vocals instead. I was like, this is fine. Let's just do this. Okay. So that one's kind of in flux. Paul moved out to San Diego. And he comes back once a year-ish, and we'll do some other stuff. I work with him in other bands too. Right now we have an LP. All the drums are tracked, so all of his parts are done. It's just a matter of me sitting down and doing everything else, and then getting John up to do vocals. Okay. And until recently, I haven't really had a time to do that in any capacity. Okay. But the songs are there, and I have been jamming them again, relearning the guitar parts. So there will be an LP at some point.
How about Molten Way?
Molten Way, I mean, I have that was kind of a weird experiment. So that was pandemic mainly, when I was just like, I got to do something. I'm going to go insane if I'm not just making music all the time. So I forget her name now, but she went by Ethan at the time. Sent me drums, and it was like hyperblasty shit. My whole point was to try and get different drummers to do drums first, and then I will write guitar over that, and then do vocals. It was all me stealing this idea from that band, Gowl. I don't know if you know them. They're from
Okay.
They're worth checking out. They're one of the best, if not the best, noise grind band ever, in my opinion.
Okay.
But super heavy, super disgusting sounding. But I was just trying to copy that, and I didn't want to program drums because they could just sound so stiff, and I tell everyone I'm a terrible drummer. Like, I physically know what to do. That's about it. It's like, I have no idea.
Execution is the hard part.
Yeah. So I can program a beat. Yeah, I know what it's supposed to do. But I have no creativity when it comes to drums. So I let drummers send me stuff. Actually, Jake Kreger from the band Triac, I have a bunch of his solo drum stuff that I'm supposed to write to. I just, it's probably not going to happen. To be honest.
Okay. So it's on the back burner. Never say never type deal.
Well, that's the thing with a lot of these bands. There's no bad blood really with anybody I've ever played in a band. Well, some people, but they're like gone from music in general. Like
Okay, now
most
this
of the
one
bands
sounds like. Oh, go ahead. Now this one sounds like it could be super heavy, man. Low Flesh.
Low Flesh is the second most active band I'm in. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go record. So we're doing that whole band is I Hate God, Buzz of and Thou Worship, like sludge. Like
okay. So like that, like that sort of like New Orleans sound.
Yeah, I mean we're like, so the singer's from like Virginia Beach, so like technically I'm in Virginia, not I'm in the DC area. All the shows I've been to are in DC. I grew up in that city, but like in this case, we're like, you know what? Let's be Virginia for a second, and like be like a little southern with it, because DC is like north of the South, so it's like a weird area in general. But so we just wanted to make it a little bit like DC style, make it a little punkier than your just swing southern riffs, which are good, but it's just not what we're trying to do. So we wanted like a little minor threat in our Thou songs.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I like that.
And we just tune the guitars until the strings almost fall off and then record it.
How about Blood Monolith?
Oh yeah, that's the second most active one I'm in actually. Yeah. Because that's all like Shelby from the band Vastum. He was in Nails for a second. He left Vastum. He's in that band Ulthar.
Okay.
Either way, he moved out to DC from the Bay Area, and I've known him for like a year or two before then, and he knew I could play, and I'm around. So we just linked up and started doing it. Then we got our friend Nadia, who's an incredible drummer, probably one of top 10 metal drummers alive right now, in my opinion. And it's a pretty good opinion, I would say.
Yeah.
And our bassist Nolan is in that band Genocide Pact, who's on tour with like Cavalera Brothers right now.
Oh, nice.
So it's as close to a super group as like DIY, mainly grindcore folks, and Shelby, who also does grind stuff, but Shelby's from out in West Coast. It's as close to a super group as you'll get, and we're all playing like Dead Congregation / Defeated Sanity worship, trying to at least. But I'm on guitar in that one, so it's a little harder for me.
And so, do you like? Are you one of these kind of guys? Because obviously there's artists out there, you know what I mean, who focus on like one band, maybe two. Are you a guy that's always kind of like to be like spreading around, being busy 4 or 5 different bands, juggling a lot of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was easier before. Like one of those bands got very big, and we were like touring the world.
Yeah,
but back in the day, I had like 7 active ones at one point, and I was like actively playing shows and recording with all of them. When I in my 20s, which I thought I'd have that energy forever. Then you hit like 32, like all right, that's enough of that.
Time to scale back a few bands.
Yeah.
And so where do you stand on, because you are involved in all these projects, but you did make the point about not being in your 20s anymore, being older. Where do you stand on like touring? You know what I mean? How comfortable are you with touring? How long do you like to be gone for? Obviously, as people get older, they probably don't like to tear themselves away from their creature comforts as much. But then there are people who still been doing it a long time that do love it. They love to lock up the house and go travel and be gone for a while. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Where do you stand on it? Your relationship?
I mean, I never have a huge problem with it. I have my preferences in terms of how many I'd like to do and where they are too. Like if you drop me in the UK, it's easy. You drop me in Europe, in Asia, Europe, not so much. Europe is one of the, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, I'll say the States is near the bottom of the list in terms of how comfortable it is, because it's so big.
Yeah.
And it's a lot like, because this is mostly through the guys of Undeath, and Undeath is like kind of a mid-level band. Like, we don't have a driver, we don't have a bus, we don't have anything. We have our own van that we have to pay to maintain, and sometimes when we're literally chasing buses. So like you'll have maybe a date that is Salt Lake City, then the next day, right after that, with no stops, is Seattle.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever driven that drive. That's like 14 hours.
That sounds horrible.
And it's through the mountains. It's through the Rockies. You have to go over the Rockies to do that. So
which for people that don't know, you could drive 14 hours and drive all the way across England and fucking hit everywhere.
Oh yeah, way more than that.
Yeah,
you'll be in the islands of Scotland in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So we've had to do that at least twice, and like overnight, like we're better at it. Our instincts are better at it these days. So like, but before it was just like we had no idea what we're getting into on our first tour. So we're like, all right, let's just leave now. And like we're saying we're gonna crash at a friend's house in Seattle, but we just left Salt Lake. It's like there's no point in even stopping there. Like you have to leave immediately after that show anyways.
Right.
So that is work. I'll be honest. So
Yeah.
it's like not the most fun, but like when you do it enough and it's like, all right, it gets easy and you're used to it. I'm not basically I'll say I'm right in the middle. It's like I'm not
Yeah.
in love with touring. I don't think it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But I also don't despise it and like I dread it every time I go. I do like having them more sporadic. And I think there's a sweet spot, like 2 to 3 weeks is awesome.
That's the number I hear a lot. That's the number I hear a lot, man. Fucking 3 weeks, and then guys, even in the tightest of bands, are fucking kind of sick of each other.
I actually don't really get sick of the guys in the bands that much, like, which is fine. Like, that's good. I think I'm an easygoing guy in general. So
Well,
it's
maybe
not
we
a
shouldn't have
big
said
deal.
sick of each other, man. Maybe that's a poor representation, but maybe just sick of just the whole environment, you know what I mean? Of just having to cohabitate in close quarters, uncomfortable, you know?
I'm afraid, like, I hate the feeling of that my house can get towed away because
Right.
that's what it is. I live in a
Yeah.
van,
Right.
and if like we stop somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and they don't like how it looks, they tow it out, and like,
Right.
all right,
Yeah.
that's all my clothes, that's all
Yeah.
like everything I have, like all the access to my food. Like, luckily, it's not my wallet, but some days it could be.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, that's gone, and now we have to pay to get my house back, and my house, like, who knows what they fucked up on the way out because
Right.
you've had it towed before. They're not going to take care of your trailer. They're not going to take care of your like anything that should have been disconnected before they put it on that bed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Complete
Yeah.
disregard for everything. Yeah.
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 So I was like, that's not a great feeling. After a while, I'm like, all right, I don't want to wake up and like we parked in a sketchy part of the town for whatever reason, either like the neighborhood or the people or the cops or whatever.
Right.
I have to worry about everything at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like no one's looking out for you.
And so, you come into Undeath, and they've already been, doing their thing for like a year or two. So now that you've been in there, for 5+ years or in that ballpark, what's your role in the creative process of the band? Is it a very collaborative band? Does somebody come in with the lion's share of the ideas and kind of take the reins? How does it work when specifically Undeath, since that's probably the band that people are going to see this and know you most by?
Sure.
What's the process like with that band?
Writing wise, it's mainly Kyle's ball to run with,
Okay.
just because he was the one there at the start and he did most of the writing. Like, obviously, Matt is a huge part of the sound, but like drumming is a lot of reacting. Like, they don't really come in. You don't build off the drums first generally.
Right.
That's why it's kind of a novel thing, like my other band, Molten Away, that did it. But he complements everything. He makes it work. So those two are like the main creative source. Obviously, Kyle comes in with these riff ideas, and then Matt will build around it, and then we have like a solid structure. It's really rare that me or Jared does anything to Kyle's songs, but I make a point of bringing my songs. I've written like 3 or 4 for the band at this point, maybe a little bit more, and brought it to Kyle. Be like, how would you make this sound like it's the same language? You know what I mean? Because like me and him talk differently musically. Like he's got his own undeath. He has undeath isms as far as I'm concerned. And part of the reason I joined was it was like it sounds fun to be able to adapt what I do to that.
Yeah,
that'd be a challenge.
Yeah,
So,
and
I
so
wanted to try and do that.
And so when you are going to sit down and write music, man, what's your own, aside from the band, what's your own individual creative process like? Like, are you a guy that just gets ideas sporadically throughout the day and maybe you're jotting them down or humming them into a phone or recording them into your phone? Or are you a guy that sits down and, kind of treats it like a job? I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write some songs.
It's been different all the time. Undeath is definitely more on like the job side of things, just because I know more people will hear it at this point. So I'm like, all right, I want to and like Kyle's a big influence on that because he's got such a specific vision and delivery of how he brings it out. I'm just like, to try and adapt what I'm doing to that and not make it sound like a total outlier. Because that's the thing I don't want to do is be like, all right, that's the weird song on the album. And
Right.
It's like, oh, it's because Kyle didn't write it.
Right.
Like, I want it to kind of at least sound, it will sound like me, but it'll still fit with Undeath, So I have to think a little harder. But other than that, like, talking about that band Low Flesh, that's really just sit down and like plunk on the guitar until something comes out.
Right.
Undeath is rarely that. Also, Undeath is technically a little bit more challenging. It makes the most sense to write on guitar But again, I'm not that. I'm a guitarist. So I'm not that good of a guitarist.
Right,
I think
right.
Kyle and Jared are incredible, so it's hard to like do something in their flair and their style, and then be like, yeah, this is convincing that it's them. So you're writing on bass. There's something a little bit missing every now and then. I mean, like melodic ideas translate, but if I want like a really chunky, heavy part, I might have to go to guitar and be like, this is the sloppiest thing ever, but this is what I want.
Yeah.
So there's like layers to that.
Now, I've had a lot of guys from metal bands and or extreme metal bands on here. So for people that might not know, obviously there's a lot of genres, subgenres of the subgenres. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you could really break metal down, all these different cores and all this different stuff. But for people that haven't tapped into Undeath, how would you label them? What genre would you put them in? Because we always hear deathcore, melodic deathcore, grindcore, death metal, old school death metal. Where does Undeath fit in there?
So I guess there's a caveat on this. A lot of people call us old school death metal. And I guess I could see that, but like there's other bands that called old school death metal too that I'm just like, we don't sound like them. So
Right.
I'm not entirely sure what you think that is. At least me and Matt have had extensive conversations about this. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the purest type of death metal that you can have. We are playing death metal in the style of Suffocation and Cannibal Corpse, but like not even like later Suffocation where it does get pretty out there. Nile will smoke us in terms of speed and brutality and like technical ability, but we're not like, I guess we play harder stuff than Obituary. Like, I mean, technically,
yeah.
Our spirit is the same. Like, also, if you look at our live shows, our live shows are so inspired by Obituary. Just trying to get the energy that you can get out of that. Because I don't want people to stand around and look at us and look at what I'm doing on the bass. Like, you can look once or twice, but otherwise, I want you to be like jumping on top of other people, jumping off the stage, moshing. You can spin kick if you want. Just make sure read the room. You know what I mean? So it's like. I want the energy of like an old Obituary show, and we love Morbid Angel. Morbid Angel's one of our favorite bands. And if they're death metal, then since we're copying that as much as we can, our own flair, I guess. I don't know what else that would be. Other than just death metal.
And I'm assuming you're talking about like more like Obituary, like circa like Slowly We Rot, Cause of Death era, early Obituary. And that's not to take anything away from Obituary. I've had a couple of the guys on the podcast, one of my all-time favorite death metal bands, but they have added in later years a little more of a groove into their music, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
It's,
a lot of like Matt is a massive Obituary and Autopsy fan.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about like almost like a punkier ethos to early death metal, back when early genres aren't as easily defined. Death doesn't sound like Morbid Angel, doesn't sound like Obituary, so and then Suffocation, you throw that in there and it's just like, there's slams before slams were slams,
right?
So
right.
But that's the thing, we love it all. Like, we do listen to like tech death, we do listen to brutal death metal, we listen to slam, we listen to grindcore, we listen to everything that could be possibly construed as a death metal subgenre. But I think we try and do a good job of not letting that color what we're doing. We might have like a slam or two, but in a New York way, not in a slam way. You know what I mean?
I think I would definitely put you guys in just good old fashioned old school brutal death metal. I mean, you guys are certainly locked into talking about, dark stuff, violent stuff, like gory stuff, like that's what I think of, man. Like when I think of old school death metal, I'm looking at some of the titles, Brandish the Blade, Sutured for War, Cramped Caskets. That sounds fucking terrifying. I mean, Wailing Cadavers, like that sounds like that sounds like early Obituary or like Death or like, death metal in its earliest form.
Sure. Lyrically, content wise, it's kind of like, what's the word? Serendipity that Kyle writes most of the lyrics, if not all. Basically, the rule is if you write the song, you write the lyrics because you're going to know how the rhythm works the best. So Kyle writes most of the lyrics, all the lyrics for his songs. Maybe I'll add one or two things if there's some space. And I wrote the lyrics for mine. Jared has just only written one song so far for us, but he wrote his too. And me and Kyle come from this like kind of nerdy space where he loves like Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. I grew up playing Warhammer and stuff. So there's this like fantasy that has some like goofy looks to it, but you can also describe the most evil thing possible you can think of. and it's a fantasy world. You can do whatever you want to that.
Right.
So I talk about like, all right, I'm gonna write a song about a guy who kills people and sells their body parts as though they're saints from the medieval period.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is Jesus's finger, and it's just some guy he killed across the street and took his hand.
Right.
I'm gonna write a whole song about that.
Yeah.
And that's because I like that shit kind of happens in Warhammer. So that's kind of what I like. That's what I know. So, and that's another good thing about writing for Undeath is I don't explore fantasy topics that much in my other bands. So it's a good writing exercise. And like that's I like Undeath about that.
Needless to say, kiddies, you're not going to go to a lot of wedding receptions and hear a lot of Undeath. It's not going to be a lot of people's wedding song.
Unless something evil happens.
Or maybe it's a death metal couple getting married, and that's what they want to play at their wedding. But traditionally, though, man, fucking daddy's not going to dance with his daughter the first time to an Undeath song. So it's heavy. It's not for the faint of heart, man. I would certainly categorize it as death metal. Now, when Undeath songs come together, what's the formula, the ingredients? How's a great Undeath song born? What comes first? A title, a riff, a line?
Oh, I guess that kind of depends on the person. One of my songs, I think the one that was actually on More Insane was the title that Kyle just spitballed for a little bit way back when I first joined the band. I think that Bones Clattering in the Cave. I wrote that one.
Yep.
And he was just like, that's the song title I had. I never did anything with it. I was like, all right, I'll take it. And to me, then it just makes it so easy to write something around that. Like, all right, there's drama in the song. Like, all right, something happens here. How can I make this sentence scary or over the top or something like that? So lyrically, that stuff, it helps a lot there. And I'm the kind of guy that needs to have like just a hard sentence to be like, all right, how am I going to convey this in a riff?
Yeah.
So that's me personally. I know Kyle, he'll just sit down and play and he'll come up with some like insane riffs. Sometimes he wrote, I forget what songs they were. He wrote like 2 songs that were lyrics first and then he wrote music to it, which is hard. But he's the guy that can do it. I mean, he's got crazy structures, weird form stuff that it's not the easiest thing. I remember people calling us caveman death metal. I was like, all right, you try and play the songs.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's certainly, regardless of whether it's old school brutal death metal or not, man, you're not going to play extreme metal and not be somewhat technically proficient, man. You know what I mean? Like there is a technicality to all of it.
Yeah. If you're not going to be like, know what you're doing technical, you better be like edge of your physical ability technical.
Right.
And both of those are sick, and both of those are extreme, and that's kind of the point. Like you got to be extreme if you're going to play extreme metal.
Yeah,
you got to be pushing either your brain or your body to its maximum potential if you want people to care.
So when you get into the band, does anybody explain to you what the fuck undeath even means? Because obviously undead makes sense, man. But what the fuck is undeath for people that want to figure it out, man? Is it not dying? Is it you were dead and came back? Like what's going on here? What's undeath?
Oh man, it's the state of undeath, man. It's it is you serve the necromancer. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Right? It's like so you're a zombie, you're a werewolf, you're a vampire, you're something, but you're not alive. That's
okay. Okay. That makes sense. Fair enough. And so what makes the most sense for you guys when you are going to make new music? Because we have seen some seismic changes in the music industry. People are reverting back to, I don't know if they're reverting back, maybe they never went anywhere, but singles, EPs, shorter bodies of work because attention spans have dwindled. We're all busy throughout the course of our day. I think that, and I've said this before on here, coupled with the fact that there's such an influx of music on the streaming platforms that maybe people are rushing to get stuff out because they don't want to be yesterday's news and be forgotten about. So what works best for you guys? Where do you guys stand? Is it always going to be an LP? Do you kick around the idea of EPs, releasing singles? How do you guys like to release music?
That's a person-to-person question, to be honest. And it's a balancing act we're trying to do. I don't know if we're experimenting quite yet. We did just put out an EP recently. That was the most recent thing we did.
Yep.
And that was fun. And it was good. It was good to release our own music again, not be like beholden to anyone else's expectations, but our own. And we had final say so and everything. I mean, there was less than ideal situations for some of it because of like we wanted to get it out before a tour. So I was like, there's no way I could get up to where they were going. one thing is what I didn't mention. Jared moved out to Denver with his girlfriend, so
Yeah.
that's a long flight. You know?
Way to spoil, yeah, way to spoil the party, Jared. Thanks for moving way out to Colorado. For fuck's sake.
We made it work. I mean, the songs turned out fine, and me and him didn't step in the same room to record them. So there's that.
Well, in this day and age, though, man, it's a lot easier to do stuff with
yeah.
technology and be in different places too.
Yeah, I mean, like, and to me, it was like those songs turned out so well for us not being as cohesive playing the songs when we recorded them.
Right.
We got very cohesive at the end of the tour because we were playing one of those on the tour in the UK.
Right.
But it just made me think, like, dude, like, so that means this next batch is going to be even better. Anyone who liked that one is going to love the new material we have going on, because we're only going to get better at it. We're going to be in the same room doing it, and we're going to be able to bounce off each other in ways that are only going to bring this forward. Like, everything that everyone likes about it will be amplified because we'll be together doing it.
And since you're talking about, you know, we'll talk more in a minute about, like, you know, potential new Undeath coming. But when you guys put out something, are you or any of the guys in the band, are you aware of? Are you guys big at looking online at feedback on these? You know, like, I see a lot of you know, websites devoted to, you know, obviously reviewing, critiquing albums. And the biggest critique that I see, and again, I'm 52 years old, so I remember when Metallica could get away with putting out a 70 or 80-minute album. People don't want them no more that long. They want them lean. They want them trim. They want them all killer, no filter. You know, the one thing I see get critiqued the most is this album went on too long. You know what I mean? And then, you know, if it comes in at 30 minutes, it should have been 40 minutes. If it comes in at 45 minutes, it should have been 38 minutes. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you guys sit around and look at feedback and discuss how long your albums are going to be?
Oh, no. Not length.
No.
We never discussed length. I grew up listening to Coke Buster Magruder Grind from DC, so my attention span is pretty long, but it's not. But I wholly fervently describe to leave them wanting more.
Yeah,
as much as possible. Like, so we're gonna play shorter than you might want us to, just by a little bit. We're not gonna, like, leave after 10 minutes. We're gonna release an album that just, like, there could be like, oh, I want more of that. So you listen to the album again.
Right.
Or you wait for us to put out singles. We're never trying to, like, shortchange anybody, but, like, we know how much we want to write, and I think we just have good instincts about it, because, like, we haven't had a complaint about length, really.
But you guys don't have a formula you adhere to, like, we're not going to go over 9 songs, or we're not going to go over 40 minutes or anything like that.
We do go. We're not going to go over 10 songs, but that's also just kind of how it turned out. Like, all right, we have like 12 ready to go, and we record all 12. It's like, all right, 2 more for something else, or they didn't quite meet our standards for that recording. Like, we do have some stuff that we first recorded back on the last demoing session, and we're just like, it's not quite ready. And then they're ready now. Pretty much is the way that goes.
But for fans that might not understand that remark, man, what does that mean when something doesn't make the cut, man? How do you judge what makes it on an Undeath album and what quite isn't up to snuff?
Oh, I mean, sometimes there's, like, a definite vibe that the album tends to have, or it's just like there's a flow to the entire album. Because if we are talking about albums, then there is, like, all right, this song should go here, this song should go here. Like, you listen to a song like our first song, "Dead from Beyond," on the new album, that was always an intro track, and that's one of the oldest songs that Kyle had. I think that was like the second or third song he ever wrote for this album, and that's been around forever. And we knew that was the first song because it just, like, comes in, like, he had that snare drum intro marching concept from the beginning. I was just like, all right, yeah, that's going to start the song. And then what we had trouble with was the closer, but then we realized we faded out on Rise from the Grave, or It's Time to Rise from the Grave. We had a fade out of the album. So on this one, we just wanted a hard cut, and my song, Bones Clattering in the Cave, just ends. And I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, once we put it at the end, like, that is the last note you're going to hear. You want more, you got to go back to the beginning.
Yeah. So do you look, and so the other part of that question, you know, we touched on, like, the length. Do you ever look at feedback? Do you look at those sites and say, let me see what people are saying about the new Undeath album?
Yeah. It's funny because me and, like, I think it's me and Matt look for it all the time, and Alex hates it. I mean, he'll take critiques with the best of them, but, like, it's weird because I look for negativity. I really do. And I want to, like, see, like, all right, let's see if you have a leg to stand on. And they don't, like, that's to my own horn. They normally don't. It's usually,
is there one that jumps out that you remember, man? Like, what's a critique that you can remember, man, that really stuck in your craw, or something that you were just like, this is fucking ridiculous?
None. That's the thing. Like, the critique. Well, it's not a critique. They say this sucks. was like, all right,
just plain out
why?
just sucks, right?
yeah. It was like, why? It was like,
it's always great though, right?
Sure.
Because usually those people that'll dump on it, man, right? They don't give you a concise rationale as to why it sucks. You know what I mean? They just want to just be like, yeah, and I just had this discussion with one of my friends who's in a thrash band down in North Carolina, and there are a lot of, as much as I love the metal community, it's great, and I've rolled the shows even that I've wanted to see and didn't have someone to go with me. I'll roll alone because I'm not going to fucking say I'm not going to see something because I don't have somebody to hang out with for the night. Yeah. And you always find like-minded people there that'll compliment your T-shirt or a patch on your jacket or something. So it is a great community, but it is full of a lot of fucking pretentious snobs in the metal community though, who want to say something's not heavy, or if it's too heavy, there's no melody to it, or you know what I mean? Like it is a very nitpicky community, though. It can be a certain demographic. Can be.
And that's the thing. I noticed it's that they don't come to the shows. That's the thing at the end of the day. Is like you're not there, and that's like I don't know. I have this thing in my head. I've been booking shows. I've been playing shows since I was like 16, 17. Yeah. I've been booking shows from when I was like 22 till now. And like it's on and off, but still, like I've been involved, and then I've done the DIY tours. I've done like the house shows, played to like 3 people. Yeah, and I played to 10,000 people. Yep, literally. And it was just like, dude, I've done everything in between. What are you gonna tell me? Like, if you tell me something and there's something of substance, let's have a conversation about it because I want to hear why you think it sucks, and I want to. And then maybe it's like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have done that, or like, yeah, like that drum fill didn't make sense there. But then I'll read some shit. I'm just like, this sounds like. I don't even like. There was a weird one that stood out to me, and there's no slight to the band at all. But it was like they said we sounded like I don't know. I don't even remember what band it was. Let's just say Obituary, and I love Obituary as I just said. Yeah, we don't really sound like Obituary. No. He said we're just an Obituary ripoff. It's like, huh? Like, like you can call us a ripoff. You got to get the band right though.
right. Yeah. At least
so I was just like,
at least back it up with some accurate facts here. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna tell us we're ripping somebody off, make sure we're ripping off the right band.
Yeah, I was like, there's so many bands you could have picked from, and you guessed the wrong one. And I was just like, so should I trust what you're talking about, or are you like high? So,
and I totally get what you're saying with the book and the shows, because that's a caveat on here that I end a lot of shows with, especially with bands in the extreme metal world, is trying to tell people to get out there, catch live shows when their band is coming through their town, get out there and buy merch, get out there and be supportive, man, or else this stuff all goes away. You know what I mean? Like, it's a tougher time now than ever to be a musician. You know what I mean? So it really is hard. Now, you brought up about doing shows and coming out to crowds of like 3 people. I've asked other people that before, man. Is it harder to get up for those kind of shows? I know those 3 people that paid, obviously they deserve the best show because they are there in attendance. But as a musician, you know, when you take that stage and there is only those 3 drunks there that are like, you know what I mean, like in the crowd, is that hard?
No. It's honestly pretty fun.
Yeah.
Because like you like that's intimate. Like you got those 3 guys, those are your boys for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they don't like you, that's different. But you know, they paid to be there and they're like socially lubricated, then like, all right, then we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Honestly, what's hardest is like that mid-level, you know, on 20 is big enough, but like 11 is tough.
Yeah.
Because then you could have those 3 guys, but then you have like 7 people who couldn't give a fuck. And then you're like, all right, I gotta really pay attention to these 3 guys, I guess, and like get all my energy off of them. So that's the hardest part. But it's still not bad. You're still playing music, you're still having a good time.
Where do you feel like and where do you feel like Undeath has played? You know, I guess it could be the States or anywhere else. Where do you feel like was one of the best shows that Undeath had, where you felt like you were really received well, man, where it was really just, you know, not a festival where a big crowd is just going to be into it because there's so many bands, but where do you feel like that you played? Is there one that sticks out in your mind, like where you really feel like, God damn, this is an Undeath crowd?
I think it's on YouTube. It's worth seeing, to be honest. And I say that as someone not even me being an Undeath. It's we played Seattle on our Slave to the Grave tour, our co-headliner with 200 Stab Wounds. I think it was that. Pretty sure it was. And towards the end, like I don't know if we did an encore, if it was like the last 3 songs or when it was, but excuse me, sorry.
Yeah. It's
I don't know what it was, but like people just started, like we always have stage divers. We love that. It's like our top form of enjoying the music. Yeah. They just got on, like people got on the stage. They did not leave. They just jumped up, drank, partied, but like banged their heads, got in that whole line and just like threw their heads around. And they're standing behind Alex, but in front of all of us. And I was like, It was like, oh, dude, I can relax. I don't have to like play to the show. I'm just talking to the guy standing next to me. I was like, what's up,
Yeah.
man? How you having a
Yeah.
good time? And I'm like, I still got my thing going on. I can kind of hear him because he's right next to me. He's
Yeah.
like, dude, you guys rule. I was like, it's a fun time. Yeah. Like, enjoy
Yeah.
yourselves, man. Do something crazy. Like, they can't see me anymore, so I don't have to entertain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it was like, there's like at least 35 people on stage at that point. Like, people falling over. I'm like standing, like, I have my pedal board behind me and I'm leaning on my amp like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just smiling. It's like, you guys do whatever you want because, like, I just have to play the songs now. No one's looking at me. So.
And so, what do you feel like has been one of your favorite packages? You just mentioned playing with 200 Stab Wounds, man. I imagine you guys have been out with some pretty awesome bands, man. Are there bands out there, maybe one or two that you could name that you've really clicked with, man, where you feel like, man, hey, man, that was a fucking great tour package?
That Sleep to the Grave tour was insane. It was us, Phobophilic, and Forced. I really hope I'm not forgetting someone else.
Yeah, I've had Knox from Enforced on a couple times, and I've also had Ray on a couple times from 200 Stab Wounds. So yeah, both great bands.
I think this was before Ray was in the band, but I think I met him in Texas once or twice. But Knox, he's the homie, man. Like,
a beast.
Again, like he's a Richmond guy, and being in DC, they're not too far away.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him way back before I was in Undeath. Yeah, I mean, I would love to do something with Enforced again. I love those guys so much. And
shout out Enforced, man, because what I like about Enforced, though, man, is that as heavy as they are, man, you can hear, and I think they've leaned into it and embraced it in interviews themselves. Though you can hear a good element of punk and hardcore music in there too.
Oh, those guys. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard Alex's other band, the drummer Destruct. It's like the closest thing to Discharge I've ever heard, and it's insane. I love the Richmond scene's awesome. I mean, nothing but love for those guys. That tour was awesome. I'm trying to think of another one that was like there are plenty of good ones. I'm just trying to remember which ones. I get bands mixed up that were there. You know what I mean?
Oh, I can imagine. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, like again, doing the Exodus tour. That one had Fit for an Autopsy. I'm trying to remember. I feel like a dick now. I'm forgetting everyone who else was on that one because I remember where we were and I remember watching Exodus like every night.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like you just can't really forget that.
And now, obviously, Exodus is a legendary band, man. Are there any that are on the bucket list where, like, if you got the call tomorrow, man, you'd be really, for lack of a better word, fucking psyched, giddy over if someone were to call up and say, hey, guess what? We're going out with, what would be the dream one for you?
Honestly, one that stands out right now would just be like Testament because, like, I love Exodus. I love Testament. Testament was my favorite band for a long time. Like years. And then, like, they're still great, obviously. It's just like my tastes have changed a bit, but they're still doing it. They still put on a killer show. Every single one of them is like a musician I highly respect in their avenues, and there's something I could learn from every single one of them. That would be incredible. It wouldn't make sense, but if we did an Anthrax tour, I would love that. Frank Bello is my favorite bassist.
Well, I think those walls in the metal world have come down because back when I was growing up, you did used to see death metal with death metal, but now you can see those kind of intermingling type packages, man, like where it's not unheard of to see. You mentioned being out with Exodus. You wouldn't think that Exodus and Undeath would be a great tour package, man. I mean, you might not have seen bands like that paired up 20, 30 years ago.
True. Yeah. I mean, we talked to them a bunch about it too, being like, they remember when death metal started. And it's like a crazy conversation to have, but they remember it's like this weird thing that like Morbid Angel and Death were doing is like, but now you guys are here and it's awesome. Like they love their energy. I don't know if they're just being nice, but I'm eternally grateful for hearing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Anthrax asked us to do anything, I mean, like, yes, absolutely, 100%, 200%, 300%.
I mean, they're one of the big four for God's sakes.
I mean, like it would be stupid not to financially, but like that, the best rhythm section in metal, in my opinion. I love Frank Bello. He's one of my favorite bass tone by far, and his playing ability is like nothing. He's no slouch at all. Like he's some of the most tasteful bass playing. And then Scott Ian, and then Charlie Benante, and Joey Belladonna, and then whoever's on guitar. I think it's still John Denias from Shadows Fall, I believe. But it
is. Yep. And so you, as a metal guy, started as a metal kid. Where do you stand on, they are such a polarizing band. They kick down the doors for so many people, but yet again, we talk about people that get shit on the internet all the time, man. Where do you stand on the legacy of Metallica? Such a polarizing band. Obviously, man, a lot of bands, I don't know if you guys consider yourself amongst those bands. I'm sure that you probably do and realize in some way, man, that your ancestry, what I mean, Metallica paved the way for who you guys are right now.
We love Metallica.
You have to, right? I just don't
Yeah, I was like,
understand the hate.
I was like, no offense to you at all. Is this a weird question? Like, do people say otherwise? Do
No,
they
no,
say
no,
that
no.
Metallica
I
doesn't?
just constantly see for everything that they've accomplished, they seem to still be the most legendary band in metal that gets so many shots taken at them, whether it's Lars's drumming or the hiccups that they've had in their career that people perceive as hiccups anyway, albums that maybe weren't as strong or experimental stuff that they did. You know, they take a whipping when they do an album with Lou Reed, or the load and
Yeah.
reload era obviously is notoriously always getting fucking beat up or whatever, man. And even now today, man, you know what I mean? They're the biggest heavy metal band of all time, but people still love to shit on them though.
That's a tired thing. You know, it was funny once upon a time, I think. But like, dude, Some Kind of Monster came out. What's Saint Anger? Like, yeah, didn't you get all your jokes out then? Like,
Right.
yes, that was funny. That was also 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if like I listened to that album Hardwired, I guess probably a year ago ish. I mean, I come back to it because it's good. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's got one of their top 25, 30 songs. Like that song,
Yeah.
Moth into Flame,
Yeah.
is one of their best songs they've ever written.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not exaggerating. Like, I mean, yes, you have entire albums that are a little bit better, but they only had eight track albums. So you have like 2 of those, and like that's 16 songs. Then you go like number 24, Moth into Flame is right there. So it's like, yeah, I don't like that band's great. Like I said, Hardwired's still pretty good. There is that like grading on a curve because they've done everything, and
Right.
like what do they have literally nothing left to prove.
They don't. Yeah.
It's like that's the thing. Like if they never choose to record an album ever again, it's like God bless them for existing. If they do want to put one out next year or like 2 months from now, it's like, all right, I'll check it out.
Well, I think it's like
the worst case scenario.
I think it's what you said about you guys is fucking, catching flack though in reviews and stuff too. I think a lot of it is just rooted in just hate, just because of how successful and how big they've gotten. Maybe the metal community didn't want to maybe fucking see Metallica blossom into this big thing. Like for a while, it was just like Metallica just belonged to the metal community and they were just ours. And then suddenly, they became very mainstream, and then all the diehard metalheads had to say, and we got to share Metallica with the rest of the fucking world now, man, because they're writing some mainstream type hits.
It's something I've thought about, and it makes me sound a little elitist, but it's like someone whose only involvement is consuming in the scene,
right?
They're the ones that make that kind of call. Like someone who has put on a show, someone who has humped gear to a show, someone who's done any of that is going to immediately appreciate a band like Metallica that much more,
right?
Because they put in the work. It's not like they just they showed up and were given everything. They actually did the process. Like fucking Cliff died on tour.
Yeah,
he died in a bus crash.
Yeah,
I'm like James Hetfield caught on fire on stage. What the fuck do you want from these guys?
Yeah, I mean, but where do you stand on the whole concept of like, because maybe you could speak about this better as an artist, man. It's almost like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because for a while there, people are pissed. It's like they want Metallica just to keep putting out carbon copies of Master of Puppets. You know what I mean? But then when you stay in that lane for too long, you get beat up on for being stagnant. Yes. But then when you try to go outside the box a little bit, then you strayed from your fucking sound. You know what I mean? So you can't win.
No, you can't. And that's I've funny enough, this is a conversation I have all the time too. It's like if people heard innovation the way they want it, they would hate it. Because you don't like you want them to change 8% tops.
Right.
Per album. That's the kind of growth that a person would want. That doesn't happen. They've been playing those songs for like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years even now. But talking about new album stuff, God knows back then it was just like, all right, think about it. It's 1 year between Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning.
Yeah,
that means, and that you listen to those 2 albums back to back, and they're so insanely different. And Ride the Lightning is so miles ahead of what they were doing then.
Right.
They got tired of Kill 'Em All songs in 1 year.
Right.
And
right.
You don't think that they're going to change infinitely more in like 8-year period now that they're like, this is an ordeal for us to come together and write. We have to do a million things to make this work. It costs millions of dollars.
Yep.
And you don't think that like their idea isn't going to be 5% different than the last one. It's going to be like 25 to like 60% different.
And that's where they really started getting whipped on too, man. You bring up the Ride the Lightning album, man, because that's where Fade to Black was. And that was, God forbid, so taboo for them to be writing a quote unquote ballad.
It's insanely beautiful song.
Yeah.
I don't know what's your problem with like, you don't have to be all like, I love All Fast, but All Fast all the time doesn't make sense. It's like once or twice you can listen to a song with an acoustic guitar in it Come on.
Yeah.
It's like,
And so with that being said, like you guys as an extreme death metal band, where does melody fit in there for you, man?
Mhm.
And obviously, like we've seen bands that are just obscenely heavy, and I wouldn't say Undeath is over the top heavy. You guys are certainly pushing the envelope, man. But there are bands out there that are just a sheer wall of noise that lack melody, man. Can you be too heavy for the sake of being heavy, or is there really no limit?
I can't say that there's a limit, but I do think intention is everything.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands going right now, and one of my favorite bands of the past 15 years is that band Conan. You ever listen to that
No,
doom metal
but I
band?
always write these things down when people say them. What's the name
Yeah.
of them?
Conan, like Conan the Barbarian.
Okay.
But
Okay.
just the one word. They're British. They're almost a drone band with how like they tune like basically an octave down.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
more than like 3 notes per riff. Talking about caveman shit. That is caveman shit, but like, it's done well. It's guys who thought about it and were
Yeah.
like, what would it sound like if I had a club that weighed 40 tons and I hit you with it?
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
write a
Yeah.
song about that. And the lyrics are about that too. So it's like, okay, that is awesome. But like, a million bands, it was way worse like 10 years ago or like 8 years ago, where bands would tune to like F and put the pitch shifter on and play 0, 3, 2, 1 on the guitar. And
Yeah.
it's like, this is a sick riff, isn't it? It's like, no.
You
It's
just
like,
can't, yeah, right. You can't decipher anything, right? It's just a
it's
wall.
like, I mean, I can hear the tones, like the tones are good, but like a band like Death sounded better and they tuned to D. It's like,
Yeah.
so like it was a tuning, there's tuning wars, there's gear wars, and like what is the cool amp to have and all that stuff. Like luckily that era's kind of died down. But still it's I think melody playing into all that is possible. It has to be done right.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk ourselves up necessarily. I think Kyle has a really good sense of throwing melody in there and still being evil, whatever our goal is, brutal, evil,
Yeah.
creepy, foreboding, whatever it is. I think it serves the purpose. And I think that's what, to make it sound, kind of goofy, you got to kind of be an artist about it. You like, what is your goal with the song? What is your goal with the album? What is your goal to do this? Like, are you just writing about guts slopping on the floor? Well, then make it sound like it's slopping on the floor.
Right.
Don't just play, a recycled hardcore riff and drop Z and then be like, all right, then now it's a brutal song, right? It's like, no, you didn't think about it. You just put two things together that you had.
Right. And so where do you stand on the origins, and I guess this could be debated, of death metal? You know what I mean? Where did it start in its embryonic stage? I mean, people often argue Possessed. They argue Chuck Schuldiner and Death. You know what I mean? Who would you credit with being there right at the very beginning to really kick this thing off?
It's funny. This is an argument that me and my same roommate have a lot of the time. I am definitely in the camp of Possessed being.
They did use the term first.
There's that. I put Possessed in like every subgenre has this like shift moment where it's like one guy, like one band is like teetering in one direction or another. And then there's the one immediately after that is like solidifying it.
Right.
So you have Possessed being like the pioneer, so to speak. And then the technical founder, in my opinion, would be Death.
Yeah.
Okay. I always put Death first. And I know that a lot of people would argue there'd be like, no, there's this band from Brazil that played in 1985, or some people say Sepultura, I guess.
Right.
I don't. Most nationalistic you'll find me, like, I think it's an American thing.
It is. I agree with you. And now here's the part of the conversation where I will ask the question, and because I know nothing about it, I will just step back and kind of throw it over to you. But for the demographic of people out there who are musicians or might want to know how you get your particular sound, the gearheads out there, man. What's your rig? What's your rundown, man? Like, what is your go-to bass, man? How are you getting that thick bass sound that Undeath fans love?
Sure. It's kind of changed album to album. I think now I'm recently finding one that I like because we tune so low, and I'm a little picky about gear. I had a whole gear era that was like 10 years long or something before a pandemic, honestly. Okay. So because we tune so low, I needed something that had a brass nut. And because otherwise the nuts like have literally fallen off because of the tension of the low strings and all that stuff.
Right.
So I use a Warwick Fortress because I found a cheap one. I love Warwick. I mean, technically endorsed. But I've loved them since I was like 13. I have one thumb, but it like the nut couldn't handle the tuning. The thumb is the model,
Yep.
and so I found a Fortress for like $900, which is sounds expensive, but they normally go for like $4,000.
Oh, so you got to
So
steal then. Yeah.
yes, and it was like and if you can find them in Japan, they grade everything so harshly that like they'll knock prices down. I mean, like it has a dent in it, so it's like a D plus to them.
Yes, you can dicker with them. You can.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'll take it because I'm
Yeah.
taking this on the road. I'm gonna be breaking this a lot. So I got that thing. I put in these old EMGs. I actually traced. I found out what EMG pickups Frank Bello used on Among the Living,
Okay.
and I tracked them down. Luckily, I had them in one of my bases. Like it was only a year off, so I was like, all right, well, those are 88s. That was an 87, so let me just put that into this thing. So I put those pickups into this guy. That's probably the hardest thing to get, to be honest. Finding 87 EMGs. And then forever with Undeath, I've been playing through this PV Mark IV, which is I don't know if you're a gear guy at all.
I'm not. That's
But-
why I'm sitting here letting you take the reins. I asked the
So
question
PV
for the gear guys
Sure.
out there, but I sit there and just do a lot of nodding and pretending.
Absolutely. So what I've been using, what I use live every time until the next tour we do, we're going to try a different one. But for whenever I use live, I'm trying. I love solid state. I don't really like tubes that much.
Okay.
They don't give me clarity. Some people are going to complain because I know everyone loves SVTs, but every time I play through them, if I'm trying to play Undeath stuff, it's going to turn into a wall of thunder. You're not
Right.
going to hear individual notes. So I have this PV Mark IV, which is indestructible. It's from 1982 and it plays as good as the day it was made. And it was also $80 when I bought it. So
Yeah. See how we built stuff back in the 80s? Tough.
you can't kill them. You can try, but nothing's gonna happen to it. But I mean, it's a great one. It's like there's videos of Tony Choi and like their early Atheist days using them. I
Mhm.
know Steve Harris did like ads for them, so it's like it's backed by two of the
Good enough
greats.
for him.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, good enough for them, good enough for me. I can combine Tony Choi's playing with Frank Bello's tone. That's incredible. I would love to do
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
So I love how it sounds live. In terms of new basses, again, love Steve DiGiorgio. I got a fretless from a friend of mine. His name's Kevin Bernstein at Developing Nation Studios. He recorded like Full of Hell and all these other bands. He started building aluminum neck guitars, and one of them he built. I asked him to build me a custom one, and I wanted a whammy bar on it, and he's like, "I can't do that." I was like, "Well, I'm not going to pay for a custom one and not have it be not stupid. Like whatever I get has to be stupid." So I was like, "All right, let me take the frets off." I was like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah." I mean, so I went to college for jazz and all this stuff. So I actually can play fretless.
Okay.
So it was like wasn't a big deal. Like it's just metal instead of wood. So I have that's the shiny one that you might see me in like recent pictures of. It's just this aluminum neck fretless bass that it's custom made, so that's a little tough to get. And I think he might not be building anymore. So that one's hard. Sorry.
Yeah.
But otherwise the amp I'm playing through live generally is that PV Mark IV. And my pedal setup is pretty easy. It's annoying, but it's this Billy Sheehan 2 Model 2. I forget what it's called. I think it's EBS is the company. It's a little pricey, and it's pricier than I'd ever do anything. But Alex Webster says that that's how he gets his clank and clarity at the same time.
Oh, there you go.
And if he's like, all right, well, literally we were using the tuning from I think it was the Bleeding where they tuned to A flat. That's the Undeath tuning.
Yep.
So I was like, well, this thing is like these strings are like cables, like that thick, and I want to be heard. The only guy that goes because Steve DiGiorgio doesn't go that low. He plays that more thrashy style of death metal.
Right.
So it's easier, I should say, to stand out and like hear the notes there. But like Alex Webster does it by cutting through. I have to figure out how he cuts. So I found that little distortion or overdrive pedal, I should say. And just like boost the clank a little bit. So that's where you get the piano wire type sound. That's it.
That's the rundown right there. There you go, kids. Hopefully you dictated all that, wrote it all down. Now run out to the store and buy all that stuff, kids, and start your own death metal, man. For God's sake, he just gave you the formula right there. Now, before I let you out of here, a couple more things. And you may have dropped a couple of these names already, so I don't think this will be that hard for you. Your particular Mount Rushmore of bass players. Who are the big four for you that mean the most to you? Not necessarily you're trying to rank the greatest to you.
Yeah. Okay. Top two, pretty easy, is Frank Bello from Anthrax. And in terms of tone, he's my my greatest of all time. Like,
Yep.
Like what he gets with his fingers, it sounds as good as any bass player with a pick. Like
Mm-hmm.
Dale Looker's a great one too. I wouldn't necessarily put him up there though, but like those are two guys I look to a lot for like how I should sound.
Yep.
When I'm attacking with my hand, because again, I use picks sometimes in like punk band stuff, but like if I'm playing Undeath and I want to sound brutal with my fingers, I go to Frank Bellows style.
Okay.
And then in terms of like note choice is Steve DiGiorgio.
Okay.
Like, and technique, because he does the 3-finger thing, and that's what I stole my whole bit from that.
Yep.
So those two are the easy ones. After that, I just blanked on one of the guys I was doing. Well, Daryl Jennifer from the Bad Brains.
I love that pick. What a great pick. Yep. Wow, came out of left field with that one, man. But wow,
shout out growing up in DC.
Shout out to Bad Brains. Dude, come on, man. Fucking one of the OGs, one of the goats of punk hardcore music.
I think it's Big Takeover. There's a song on now I'm blanking on what album it's off of, but there's a live version of, I think it's the Big Takeover, where it's a bass solo instead of Dr. No's guitar solo. Yep. And it's insane. And it's like, and you know, and like this thing, you always hear that they were the guys that could play music, that they decided they wanted to play faster than any other punk band just because.
Yeah.
Just because fuck you is why.
Yeah.
So
no one's hey, listen, I will defend that pick, man. No one's faulting you for putting Daryl Jennifer on the fucking Mount Rushmore. God damn it.
Oh no, absolutely not. Nor should they, because he's better bassist than almost everyone. Not everyone I mentioned, but like most of the bassists in most death metal.
Granted.
And shit, there's the fourth one I just forgot about.
Was it in the metal world?
It was in the metal world. But so we have Daryl Jennifer, Frank Bello, Steve DiGiorgio.
Now, you did mention Alex Webster a couple of times, man. Is he in the conversation?
That's the thing, man. Like Alex Webster, I didn't really listen to that much growing up. Like Cannibal Corpse started happening more when I wanted to get to know like Kyle better.
Yeah,
especially later Cannibal, because like earlier Cannibal Corpse, yeah, he's keeping up and doing all the stuff. But I think the stuff I'm most compelled by, that we're all most compelled by, was in Undeath, I should say, is the Corpse Grinder era of stuff.
No doubt,
which is also it's like it's gotten legs since, but I remember when it was not cool to like Corpse Grinder, Cannibal Corpse era stuff. So I mean, like, and I think that's where his best work is, his playing and his tone. His tone is great, also.
Yeah.
He
doesn't make the Mount Rushmore though.
No, it's just like it didn't influence me enough, if we're thinking about it.
Yeah.
So there's a caveat on this one. Again, like I guess I didn't really go over much how growing up in DC, you kind of have to love hardcore, like punk hardcore, I should say, in that capacity. It's probably, I call it a tie between Harley Flanagan and the bassist, I forget his name, from that band Embrace, which was the band in between Minor Threat and Fugazi. If you haven't ever heard them, it's like one of the first emo bands, but the bass lines on that album are incredible. It's like, you know, sonically, it sounds like Minor Threat going into Fugazi.
Oh, I love Fugazi. Yeah.
Well, then you'd probably like Embrace.
Yeah. And by the way, man, Fugazi's bass player, Joe Lally, great guy. I had him on the podcast a couple of times. Great bass player, man. Yeah, he's absolutely incredible. And Harley, I mean, come on, man. It's Harley, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's the thing. Like Harley being like a slightly less flashy Daryl Jennifer in terms of ability and playing.
Yeah.
But it's like listening to Malfunction growing up is like, all right, that's changing how I'm listening to bass from now on. Okay. Third caveat, maybe in front of those two, Craig Satari from Sick of It All.
Oh no, I just had Craig on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just had Craig on. I just had Craig on, and shout out to Craig, because that actually did turn out to be a true hybrid episode, because he really is a big boxing fan, boxed himself, has coached boxing, has been just ingrained in the fabric of boxing. I'll send you the link to that particular episode. So, but I mean, talked a lot of boxing. They were just on tour, not Sick of It All, but he was playing in another hardcore band. They were up here in Syracuse. You know, they actually came to the International Boxing Hall of Fame. So yeah, he's very, very huge into boxing, and a great bass player.
That Scratch the Surface was probably the first hardcore record I actually ever heard. And the bass, like the bass tone on that still inspires like my pick playing. The tone is that. Like I'm just chasing that from now on.
Makes me melancholy to think of Sick of It All too, man. Shout out to Luke Holder, the lead singer, because he's battling cancer right now, man. So fucking keep him in your thoughts and prayers, fans, because he's battling right now, man. Us New Yorkers, we fucking battle though. He'll beat it. He'll be all right.
Oh, yeah. I have total
all right. And so before I let you out of here, fucking run down the promotional shit, where people can tap into you or your projects, man. I know everyone's out there on social media somewhere, man. So I'm sure Undeath has a website, Instagram, all that good shit.
We have undeathmetal.com. We have Undeath NY, Undeath New York for most of our Instagram. I think all of our social medias besides that, I think it's Undeath NY. In terms of my band Blood Monolith, I mean, you'll find all of the bands that we mentioned on Bandcamp. So Blood Monolith, Low Flesh, Tomb Warden, even Molten Way. I still have plenty of 7 inches if you want to get some. I'll sell you cheap. And as for myself, I'm l.chapo.of.ghouls on Instagram. If you want to see me, I'm doing nerd shit, making Warhammer stuff. Used to talk about boxing a lot more often, but like I got some foot shit that I just couldn't really. My feet are just giving out pretty much.
Maybe this will re-inspire you, man. Maybe this will re-inspire you to at least get back into the boxing. I mean, listen, I'm 52 years old. I'm not into it like I was years ago. Like I had some amateur fights. I even worked out in my garage. Now my punching bag kind of sits in the garage, a little more stagnant than I'd like it to be, just because as I get older, it's just harder to go out and fucking punch stuff. I'm getting old, for fuck's sake. I gotta embrace that. I still watch it. I still watch all the big fights. I tap into the zone all the time. I'll watch 2 guys that are fucking a couple of no names. So I don't just turn up for the big fights. You know what I mean? I'll watch anything. If I turn on something and 2 guys are fucking doing combat, I'm in.
Sure. I mean, I totally understand the sentiment, and I'm jealous of the what you got going on up there. Like that's, I know upstate is a hub, Catskills in the north.
Yeah.
It's like a beautiful place to be and a beautiful place to fight.
Yeah, it is. It is. And just, there's just something about boxing, man, that really just, I for years, I loved my team sports, man, but they're just getting so watered down. Like I had this discussion with my son the other day. He's telling me, hey, you got to turn on the Giants game. I'm a big New York Giants fan, but I'm just like, it's not the NFL that I remember. Now they're throwing a flag if you fucking breathe on somebody too fucking much. You can't sack anybody. You can't dance in the fucking end zone. You can't rough the fucking quarterback. You get too close and you hit somebody. You're too fucking rough nowadays. Everyone's just throwing up their hands and wanting a penalty and complaining all the time. Like, I mean, I just grew up in a different era, man. I try to explain this to my 30-year-old son, and there's that generational gap there where, he's only seen one version of the NFL or the NBA or whatever sports we're talking about. He knows his era. At nauseum, we fucking debate the merits of Jordan being the GOAT over LeBron. And I just try to, I plead my case where it's always like it was a different NBA. Jordan was getting roughed up all the fucking time and earning those fucking points. People got the fuck out of LeBron's way. He got a lot of uncontested shots. And I guess I'm making now my plea to you, I guess. But and just, as an old head, in comparison to him, I'm going to have my view, I mean, he's from the LeBron era. I mean? He likes he's known this watered down version of the NBA a lot more, where there's not so much emphasis on defense and hard nosed playing. When Jordan would drive into the paint back in the day, guys made him fucking pay,
Sure.
They hacked him, they fouled him fucking hard, they flagrant fouled him, they knocked him on his ass.
Yeah, I don't this can turn into another hour conversation, so I understand if you want to cut it off or not. But it makes me think back to like the conversation with Floyd Mayweather, right? Yeah. And how if he's like, of course, in the conversation for greatest of all time, you could put him there. And I accept that now, but him being the heel he was, it's like, I can't ever see him being the greatest just because of, the politics he played throughout the entire era, whereas people, cherry picking too early, going way too late, all this other stuff. It's like, of course, he is possibly, if not the best defensive fighter ever. Yep. But like, he never wanted to push himself to the test. Right. So like, and then you have an entire generation, at least from what I've seen online. Again, I know from being in a band that online chatter might not amount to much in general in the real world if you're standing face to face with someone. Right. Just like having this conversation like we're having right now. Right. So like whether they're going to argue that or not, but the amount of times that people see that he's the greatest of all time because he never lost is like, well, Marciano, XYZ. It doesn't really matter because it's like what the value system is different, I guess is what it comes down to. It is. And it's not right or wrong, but I think there's something to be said about like these like known unknowns, for lack of a better term, back in the day. It's like you had to fight for it. Like, and that was expected. And it wasn't like, it's not like you're being coddled or protected, but like there is something missing that like it's almost impossible to compare now. Right. And I would say like someone who can have the dominance that they did doing what they did with the opposition they had. To
Right.
me, should account for something, but that
Yeah.
gets lost in history and in context, and no one wants to hear it because
Yeah.
they want like fast facts that you can just throw up in front of them. And even then, like you got to do it fast enough because again with Floyd Mayweather, you can mention it's like, well, he didn't fight Pacquiao in their prime, so I was like, well,
Yeah.
like it took you 2 seconds to say that, so you must be wrong. It's like,
Well,
like, like, what do you want? It was like,
well, and there's that whole generation of people that just measure the greatness by the O. And granted, it's impressive that Floyd retired undefeated, man. But I mean, most boxers, and I've asked the GOAT question, I've asked the Mount Rushmore question of many of the boxers I've had on there. And yes, Floyd does end up on a lot of the Mount Rushmores, but usually Muhammad Ali is the first name out of people's mouth, and he had at least half a dozen fucking losses. But there's also something to be said for who Muhammad Ali was outside of the ring and what he stood for, which usually makes him people's GOAT. You know what I mean? He got involved in a lot of causes, a lot of civil rights causes, a lot of protesting the Vietnam War, standing on business, and just being who he was. You know what I mean? And and not that to be the GOAT, you got to be doing all kinds of shit outside your sport and be some kind of activist or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there was a whole generation that was influenced by Floyd making these athletes think like you can't be talked about as great if you've ever lost a fucking fight. You know what I mean? You can't have lost.
I think that's what it gets down to. It for me, it's like there was a shift in the culture in the way that he can like. I don't think he's a bad guy. Like, let's put it this way. Like, I'm not trying to shit talk him, but the way he did warp people's perspective of what makes you great, what makes you the greatest, and what makes you shoot for the greatness. Like now you have people cherry picking your fights. Or you fight 10 times in 10 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And just like we're seeing the dwindling number. Not that you should have a huge amount of fights, but you're seeing the dwindling amount in champions. I'm just like, and they're gonna talk about retiring after 24 fights or something like that. I was like, that's not, it's harder than I'm sure I even know to get in the ring every single time. But I remember seeing people with like 70 or like even like 40, 42, 45. Just like there's that in that value gap might be a problem, might be a me problem too. It's like I want people with high numbers, and I don't care if it's like 44-6. That's still a good record,
right? I mean, people forget fucking. At one point, Julio Cesar Chavez, arguably the greatest Mexican boxer of all time, at one point in his career was 86-0 before he lost the fight. So I mean, but then he did go on to lose fights. He might have even lost fucking double digits in fights, or he's close to it, 8 or 9 losses or whatever, man. But still,
it might be 12 stops, I think, something.
But the fact he broke 100.
Yeah, didn't he break 100 fights? Or did
he's well over 100 fights. Yeah, he's definitely over 100 fights. Yeah, in his career. But now I'm happy to see that cycle is broken now, because now I've had some young fighters on, who may be like fucking like 12-1 or fucking 14-1, and I like to scratch their kind of get in their psyche a little bit and be like, you're in the embryonic stages of your career, man, but how have you dealt with already catching an L already? And most of them are kind of have moved past what they like to call the Mayweather effect. It doesn't scar them as much no more, because they're kind of just like, well, I processed it. I was bummed out. I went back. I watched my performance. I learned from it. That's the key. You know what I mean? They learned from it.
That was the one thing that worried me, is like people are going to start like retiring after one loss. It's just like, don't sell yourself short. And I think it's good to lose, like at least once. You got to learn how to cope, like, because you will lose eventually, or you're going to retire undefeated. But then what are you going to say? You're the best fighter ever?
And that's why you don't see that as much in the MMA world, because you'll see guys come in, man, with like 15 wins and 5 losses. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, granted, there's a lot of different ways you can get beat in the MMA. You can get choked, you can get knocked out, you can get submitted a million different ways. But
I mean, at the end and that's also a good point for like boxing. Like, how did you lose? Like, did you get caught slipping? Did you lose like a war of 12 rounds? Did you And what went wrong there? And like you said, learning from it, I think, is really important. Granted, if you do have a tried and true way to win every single time, sure. But then you kind of have to play that game that Mayweather did and become the villain, because he knows he's not going to bring like the pretty boy Floyd energy that he could have back in the day before he broke his hand.
Right.
Where he would he would get into wars. Like, that's entertaining, and he'd be the good guy if he did that his entire career. But like, you got to make people won't hate you to try and sell that. Like, I need another fight. They know I'm going to run the whole time, or at least defend, not running.
Right.
So like, they know it's not going to be, the punching match that they all want. That most of the population thinks boxing is, and unfortunately, you still have to sell that in some capacity.
Right. Yeah, right. Like the average fan doesn't want to see the technical matchup, man, where some guy puts on a chess match and just fucking, you know what I mean? The casual fan that doesn't watch, hundreds of fights a year wants to see knockdowns, blood, cuts, knockouts. You know what I mean? That's the stuff they want to see. You know what I mean? So that, unless you're watching it, as a real diehard fan, you don't really appreciate what these tactical boxers do. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be something you plop down in front of the TV and you're, it's constantly getting your heart rate going. You know what I mean? But it's still beautiful and poetic nonetheless.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say that's the sweet science. That is the sweet science.
That's the sweet science.
Happen. Hit, not, and get not, and don't get hit.
Yeah.
So watching that happen, that's beautiful to do. There's a hump you have to get over it, and most people don't want to do that. And now they just want to watch fucking Jake Paul buy a fight.
Yeah, don't get me started there. Jeez, and then we really will be on here another hour. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's bringing to the table in boxing, but I have been asking a lot of young fighters, man, and just people in general. The old school guys are a little more protective of the sport. The younger guys at least are starting to give him his props, where they at least acknowledge that he's bringing more eyes to the sport. I don't know if those eyes are necessarily important fucking eyes, but boxing sometimes kind of ebbs and flows, man. So I guess if you're getting a demographic of people to watch, and even if his fights are a little on the farcical side, at least he's putting on good undercards. He's done some good things for women's boxing. He's really put some of the girls on, you know what I mean? So he's trying to put on legit cards. I don't know just how credible his own career is, but
yeah, I mean that's the one thing I do remember watching. I try not to give him money, but if I did see that the Tyson fight, just to be like maybe, But that undercard, I forget her name. That was Taylor versus
Amanda Serrano.
Yeah. And it was the second fight. I saw the first one when it first happened, and it was both incredible fights.
Yeah,
and I thought and it's great that it was like the second fight. Like I know that they would probably have a rubber match of some kind. But hopefully people are following it, because that was an incredible fight. I thought that was
incredible. Yeah, probably the best fight of the card. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to the guys that fought on it, man, but the girls showed up and showed out. They did, man.
I love them both. Like Serrano, she can hit, and Taylor's got like an engine like Marciano did.
Yeah, she does.
Not stop.
Well, Tommy, man, you showed up. You fucking sported the war hat. You locked in with me for a fucking hour and a half of epic conversation, man. It was a good one, man. And seriously, man, I appreciate you doing this, man. And stay in touch, man. When something's cooking, New Undeath is coming. First of all, before I let you go, man, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, man, do you have a timeline on when we might see New Undeath? Because the fans might beat me up in the comment section if I don't ask.
No timeline. I'll tell you this much: we're writing. Like, there's songs that are, I think there's probably like 7 in the works.
Is it safe to say we might see New Undeath in 2026? Something?
What years? Yep, 2026. Yeah, I'd say it's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Okay. And of course, you guys got plans? You're going to be out on the road?
Yep. Just we got something coming up in April. I can't talk too much about it.
That's all right.
The next
Fair enough.
That's coming in. At least that's confirmed.
Okay, just hit upstate New York, man. Make sure, man. Talk to the fucking.
We're up there somewhere.
Get one in here, man. Yeah,
it's a long one. Like the tour's gonna be a long one, so there's some dates in there that I just kind of like.
Okay,
they're blurring together, but I know
I'll stay in touch. I'll stay in touch. Yeah, I'll try to get out, man, do a show, man, and we can catch up in person, man. That'd be awesome. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for doing this, man. It was a blast, really, man. We'll stay in touch. We'll do it again for sure, man.
Cool. Yeah, just
all right.
Anytime.
Thanks, Tommy. Good talking to you, man.
All right.
All right, later. There he goes, folks. Tommy Wall. Well, first of all, we named off a lot of bands that he's in, man, but he came on my radar with one of the hottest. I don't know if I should use the word hottest. It makes me sound like I'm talking about some top 40 band. One of the fucking baddest death metal bands on the planet right now, and I don't mean let me make sure that you understand my vernacular. Baddest, I mean, how on the street we would say that those dudes are bad. Bad isn't good, folks. Okay, just to clarify. Undeath, one of the new school. I don't even know if I'm using that contextually the right way, but guys that are grabbing the torch, carrying the flag for death metal, as far as taking the torch. Not that the old school bands have gone anywhere yet. We still got Cannibal Corpse. We still got Obituary. We still got a lot of great old school death metal bands. But Undeath is going to be that band that's going to fucking take death metal well into the 21st century. They are going to be that quintessential band that I think is going to be one of the ones that is going to rise to the top and be that band that's going to be talked about a la the next Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Bolt Thrower, Suffocation. You know, they're just a band that their stock is fucking rising, man. They are brutal, man. Fucking face melting bangers. Just absolutely amazing. Their last album, More Insane, dropped last year. So that's the newest thing that's out. Go check them out. Feast your ears on what they're doing, man. And of course, I'll say it again, like I always do. If they're coming through your town, get out to a show, buy some merch. If you are down with these guys and they are one of your bands, and you're claiming to be a fan, I'm doing a lot of air quotes, I know. Get out there and support them. This is how you lift up your artist. You give them, you know, that momentum, that inspiration to keep on chugging along and taking those long ass van rides and loading in their gear and getting up there and kicking your ass with some fucking killer tunes. But we got to do our part as fans. So get the fuck out there, go to their website, get involved, start a fucking fan club. I don't know, reach out to the fellas, get them on your podcast if you have one. You know, I don't know. You know, the most important thing, get out to shows, buy merch, be supportive, get on mailing lists, be interactive. That's what we have to do as a rock/metal community. So I really appreciate an epic conversation right there. That's what we do here on Pod Scum. We're just kicking it, not reinventing the wheel, just chopping it up about this, that, and the third. We were all over the board with it right there, man. We chopped it up about fucking shit. We ran over a lot of ground. I don't know. So those are the kind of conversations I like to have. So I appreciate Tommy Wall. Check out Undeath and all the other bands. I forgot what he said was defunct and what wasn't after an hour and a half long conversation, but Tomb Warden, Low Flesh, Blood Monolith, Molten Way, and of course, Undeath. He's busy. So you can find his fingerprint on a lot of music out there. Just do your homework. Everybody knows how to work their fucking Google. Tommy Wall, check out what he's doing and really make sure to tap into Undeath because they are becoming those motherfucking dudes in the death metal scene. So get out there and support music, your artists, metal, death metal, whatever your genre is. Just get the fuck out there, man, and be a good soldier. Be a good fan. So that being said, now I'll do my obligatory promotional spiel because as you know, and as I always say, if you have a podcast, you got to pimp it. And my pimp hand is feeling fucking strong. So here we go. Make sure to tap into Pod Scum on Facebook. The Facebook page is Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. So both of my Facebook or both of my podcasts, been a long day at work today. Both of my shows, one Facebook page. I refuse to carry two. That's just ridiculous, pretentious, unnecessary. So I give you updates on both of my shows through one Facebook page. It's all I've got the time to do. So bear with me. So that's the handle, Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. And the same thing on Instagram. I know all the kids, that's the rage. Got to be on Instagram. So I'm an old dog learning new tricks. I keep on saying it. Someone chirped in my ear and said, get busy on Instagram. Get your Instagram up to snuff. So I'm trying. So you can tap in with us over there, Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum on Instagram. And of course, if you're here right now, this is where you really need to be to watch these amazing, epic conversations. So if you're here, like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. It's up there, upper regions of your screen. Look for it. It's bell-shaped. There's your first fucking clue. Find it and do something vicious to it. Smash it, punch it, headbutt it, whatever. Be privy to when the new content is dropping. It's dropping weekly, sometimes one episode, sometimes multiple episodes, depending on how much content I'm sitting on and how generous I feel like being, but I'm always going to deliver the goods at least weekly. So get tapped in with us. I appreciate you guys, the viewers, the subscribers, and of course the guests. And today in particularly, Tommy Wall, Undeath, and many other fucking bands. My man is out there and he is busy. And he even showed up wearing his Marvelous Marvin Hagler war hat. I'm very upset that I don't even have mine up here in the fucking room. But you guys know from tapping into Off the Couch Boxing that I do fucking have one. And I have sported it all summer long because I dubbed it the Summer of Hagler. So I wore it in practically damn near every episode of Off the Couch Boxing. So kudos to Tommy Wall for showing up and showing out with his war hat. Damn it, man. A day late and a dollar short. I should have had mine on, but I digress. What can I do? Just fucking cough it up to fucking stupidity, like many other events in my life. But shout out to Tommy for showing up wearing his. So hope you guys dug that episode. And again, tap in on the social media with Tommy and all of his bands. I appreciate you guys. This is your boy, Reckless Rex, reminding you to take it easy and keep it sleazy.